that thing running?
The year was 2002 and I had a new video camera and was filming all of our trips. But it still wasn't that common. But that didn't stop me. The trip was a second Legends trip that I went on. These trips were legendary. It was only series Land Rovers, and the idea was to visit a cross-border off-road destination which needed complete self-sufficient travel and wasn't too far. So the destination for this trip was in Southern Mozambique and was the Maputo Elephant Reserve, or also known as Milibangalala. This was a very special trip for me. It was the first overland trip that I did with my wife Candice, who was my girlfriend at the time. The last time I did this trip was in 1974 with my family as a 5-year-old. It was the first trip our family did in our brand new Land Rover Series 2A. I was keen to see if I could recreate any of the old slides my dad had shown me of this trip. We were travelling in my Series 2 camper that I'd rebuilt from an ex-army vehicle. I'd fitted out the inside with a full camping setup, including a double bed kitchen and storage cupboards. It was powered by a 2.5 litre turbo diesel engine and it had an overdrive fitted. It was a pleasure to drive. The plan was for everyone to make their way to Hlane Game Reserve in Swaziland, where we would all meet. Once we had all arrived and set up camp, we spent the evening around the campfire. It was great to catch up with everyone again and enjoy the local dancers and singers. The next morning we were off and crossed the border at Lomahasha into Mozambique. The first stop was the town of Namache, where we had to stop to get some Mozambican beer, some doshem. We also stocked up on some other fresh supplies that we needed, like bread. We were quite a sight with all our landies ready to go and drew quite a bit of attention. We regrouped outside the town and then just waited for everyone before setting off again. It wasn't long before we left the tar and had to air down our tires. We were expecting some bad corrugations and thick sand. On the way we passed a typical Mozambican roadside pub. It was a good excuse to stop, stretch our legs and have a chat. No prizes for guessing whose landy this was. You didn't have to look far to find the owner. The next stop was the entrance to the park. This is where I was super excited to get a new photo and compare it to the one from the first trip that we did here. After almost 30 years, the entrance of the park looked exactly the same, with the elephant heads out front, and I got the same picture again. Once in the reserve, the track got really interesting, with lots of soft sand and sections through the coastal forest. The reserve is located on Maputo Bay, approximately 100 kilometers southeast of the city of Maputo. The reserve is about 1,000 square kilometers and was originally proclaimed in 1932 to protect a small population of coastal elephants that lived in the area. The estimate is about 400 of them. The reserve combines lakes, wetlands, swamp forests, grasslands, and mangrove forests. And I tell you what, we saw all of them and drove through all of them as we followed the tracks all the way down to the coast. As we came up a rise, we got sight of the Maputo Lagoon, and I immediately recognized it from some early photos of my parents' trip. Back then they tried to cross the marsh area below the lagoon and ended up getting stuck. Later they found a route around which ran on the edge of the lagoon. Driving in the water, the sand was firm, unlike the bog they had been stuck in. Eventually the sea appeared and we knew that we were almost there. We just had to drive down to the beach. Our campsite was right on the beach, just behind the thicket and the beach bush. And we were the only people there, so we had the whole place to ourselves. I remembered this beach from when we were here with my parents and the fishing that my dad did. And also this is where I caught my very first fish. But this time I wasn't going to be fishing. I had brought my kitesurfing kit with and the wind had picked up, and so I was looking forward to having a bit of a kite. Camp life was fantastic and everyone just took it easy, spending time relaxing and enjoying the sea. We also took some time to spend cooking and cooked up some great meals in the evenings. One evening we even had a potjie competition, and the potjies were looking really good, and they tasted even better. After spending just a few days, we enjoyed our last sunrise, and then we were off again. This time we were going to be heading southwards, down the sandy tracks, towards the Cozy Bay border post. We expected this route to be a lot more challenging, as it was up and down the soft sand dunes. The old landies had their work cut out for them, and Paul Oxley here had to give this dune another go after not making it the first time. Next up was Henny with his 4.1 Chev engine, and he seemed to have no problem making it up comfortably. And then there was Yaku, who didn't hold anything back and enjoyed the exhilaration of making it up. It was just Farney's Range Rover with the trailer on that struggled on some of the steeper sections of the dunes. But with a little help, he was up and over as well.
Yeah, Tom! Good day!
It was magnificent to see these old Legend vehicles in their element, performing the way they were designed to. It was quite a sight, with a convoy weaving up and down and in and out of the tracks. It was another epic trip with a great bunch of people, most of whom have made lifelong friendships and gone on to do many more overlanding trips together.